New York's most beloved philanthropist, a woman who gave away $200 million to her city, spent her final years lying on a urine-soaked couch, denied her own medications, her dogs taken away, her most prized paintings quietly sold. And the man doing all of it was her own son, not a stranger, her son, the one person she had trusted with everything she had. Eleanor Reed was not just rich, she was beloved. For decades, she was the social heartbeat of New York. She gave away more money than most people will ever see, $200 million to museums, libraries, city parks, and schools, not because she had to, because she genuinely loved her city, because she believed in people. She had one child, a son named Thomas. She raised him, supported his career as a diplomat and later a Broadway producer. He did well. He built a family of his own, 2 sons, a comfortable life, a respected name, a name that in many ways had always been tied back to his mother. Eleanor adored him. So when she reached her late 90s and Alzheimer's began quietly stealing her memory, when she started losing names, faces, and time, it seemed natural that Thomas would step in. He became her power of attorney. He took over her finances, her staff, her estate. He managed everything. He made all the decisions. It looked like a devoted son doing what devoted sons do. But something small changed. The kind of change you explain away when you trust someone completely. Her longtime staff started disappearing. One by one, the employees who had been with Eleanor for years, the ones who knew her routines, who listened to her stories, who actually cared about her, were let go. They were replaced with new faces, cheaper ones, quieter ones, people with no history, no attachment, and no reason to ask questions. Then the paintings started coming off the walls. No one called it theft at first. Thomas had full legal authority. Power of attorney means you can sign, you can sell, you can move money, adjust accounts, transfer assets, all completely legal, as long as you are acting in the interest of the person you represent. Thomas was not. He began writing himself large checks from Eleanor's accounts. Not modest amounts, significant ones, amounts that should have triggered alerts. But the paperwork always looked right, because Thomas had a lawyer named Victor who knew exactly how to make documents appear clean. Who knew how to insert the right clauses at the right moment? Who knew how to put papers in front of a 97-year-old woman with advancing Alzheimer's and wait for her signature? The will was changed once, then again, then a third time. Every new version gave Thomas more. Every version cut back what Eleanor had promised to the charities and institutions she had devoted her life to building up. Paintings she had personally pledged to the Metropolitan Museum were quietly sold. The promises vanished along with the frames. Meanwhile, Eleanor's apartment, once immaculate, once a place where civic leaders and artists had gathered, was deteriorating. Her Alzheimer's medications were cut, not forgotten. Someone made that choice deliberately. Her beloved dachshunds, dogs she had cherished for years, were removed from her daily life. She was losing her memory, she was losing her world, and the people now controlling that world were making absolutely sure she had no one left close enough to notice. This is what real isolation looks like. Not chains, not locked doors, just a slow, careful removal of every single person who might ask the wrong question at the wrong time. Each cut looks reasonable on its own: staff restructuring, budget decisions, scheduling conflicts, but together they form a wall, and by the time that wall is complete, the person inside has no voice left. Almost no one was watching. Almost. Nathan was Thomas's son, Eleanor's grandson. Visits had grown infrequent. There was always a reason, a scheduling conflict, a family obligation, something that came up. Looking back, the pattern was clear. At the time, it just felt like the rhythm of a busy life. Then Nathan came to see his grandmother. What he found stopped him completely. Eleanor, The woman who had given away fortunes, who had shaped institutions, who had been photographed beside presidents, was lying on a soiled couch in her own apartment, dirty, confused, barely tended to. The woman who had lit up every room she entered was being kept like she was invisible. He asked about her medications. She wasn't receiving them. He looked at the walls. The paintings were gone. He asked questions. He was redirected. That was the moment. Not a dramatic confrontation. Not a sudden revelation in a lawyer's office. Just a grandson standing in a dim, neglected room, looking at a woman who deserved so much better and understanding, with cold clarity, that this had not happened by accident. Nathan did not stay quiet. He reached out to two of Eleanor's most trusted longtime friends, people with their own resources and their own legal counsel. Together, they filed a formal guardianship petition against Thomas. The case reached prosecutors. Investigators began looking at the accounts, the will changes, the missing art. And then Nathan did the hardest thing a person can be asked to do. He took the stand against his own father. In open court, in front of cameras and lawyers and the full weight of a criminal proceeding, he described the couch, the missing medications, the grandmother he remembered, and the woman he found. His brother took the stand too. Thomas had already cut both of them out of the will. They testified anyway. The trial ran for 5 months. More than 70 witnesses testified. In 2009, Thomas was convicted on 14 criminal counts: grand larceny, fraud, conspiracy to defraud. Victor, the lawyer who built the paperwork, was convicted alongside him. Thomas was sentenced to prison. He appealed for years. He entered custody in 2013. He died in 2014, at age 90, having served only a fraction of his sentence. Eleanor had died 2 years before the verdict. She never saw any of it. There is no clean ending here. There rarely is. This is a textbook case of something called undue influence, and it is far more common than most people realize. It does not look like force. It does not look like threats. It looks like a family member stepping up. It looks like paperwork. It looks like efficiency and care. It works because it hides inside something that appears to be love. Here is what to recognize. First, when someone gains legal control over a vulnerable person and then immediately begins limiting who that person can see or speak to, that is not protection. That is preparation. Second, pay attention to will changes. One change may be legitimate. Multiple changes, all moving in the same direction, all benefiting the same person. That is not coincidence. That is design. Third, isolation always comes first. Before any theft can happen, the witnesses must be removed. If the people who knew the victim best are quietly being pushed out, something is already wrong. If someone you love is aging, sick, or losing their mental clarity, and the person helping them is slowly cutting everyone else off, show up. Be inconvenient. Ask the direct question. Be the person who keeps coming back. Nathan did that, and it was the only reason the truth came out at all. The manipulator always counts on silence, on distance, on the assumption that family loyalty means not making things uncomfortable. But sometimes, the most loyal thing you can do is refuse to look away. If you have ever felt someone being slowly taken from you, not by time, but by someone with a plan, now you have a name for it. And now you know what it looks like before it is too late. Subscribe, because the manipulation tactics that destroy lives are almost never the ones that look dangerous. They are the ones that look like love.